कहते हैं हार ना मानने वालों की कभी भी हार नहीं होती, और जो कभी गिव अप नहीं करते अपने लाइफ में वही आगे बढ़ते हैं। ये बात को आज बिल्कुल सच साबित किया है देवांश मिश्रा ने। कौन है ये देवांश मिश्रा? दिस कैंडिडेट वॉज अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ आर एसएसबी इंटरव्यू लाइव क्लासेस। ये हर रोज मेरे क्लास में रेगुलर बेसिस पे अटेंड करता था, प्रैक्टिस करता था हमारे साथ, और हमारी हर एक बात को उन्होंने अपने एसएसबी इंटरव्यू के प्रिपरेशन में अप्लाई किया। एंड नाउ he is recommended from 34 SSB Prayagraj from CDS2 2023 examination. He is now recommended and medically fit to attend the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. तो आइए जानते हैं उनके ही बातों से किस तरह उन्होंने अपने एसएसबी के लिए प्रिपेयर किया एंड हाउ ही गॉट recommended for the second time in a row from the 34 SSB Prayagraj for IMA. Hello Devansh, how are you?
I'm great, ma'am. How are you?
I am fine as well. It's really lovely to see a student like you who were being very regularly coming to our SSB interview live classes, now sitting here in front of me, and I am going to take your interview because you have been recommended. So very congratulations, warm congratulations. I want to,
Thank you. Thank you.
give you this congratulations on behalf of SSB Crack exams that you have been able to get recommendation for CDS to 2023 examination for IMA. So how are you
Thank
feeling
you.
after getting recommended, Devansh?
Ma'am, it's a great feeling, obviously, when you get recommended. It's like wonderful. Uh, I'm just looking forward to whatever the tasks and whatever the formalities that are left. And yes, I'm feeling great.
तो अगर मैं गलत नहीं हुई, आपका सेकंड टाइम रिकमेंडेशन है, तो अभी तो मैं बताऊंगी कि आपको आदत लग गया रिकमेंडेशन का। तो क्या सेकंड टाइम
Ma'am,
में भी रिकमेंडेशन की जो खुशी होती है वो फर्स्ट टाइम की तरह होती है कि अलग होती है?
actually, I thought of the same thing because I was previously recommended. So मेरे भी दिमाग में same चीज चल रही थी that it might not be that what is it electrifying that it was the first time. So, but when my chess number was called, my chess number was 21. When I heard the 21, it was all renewed. Everything was just like it was in the first time. So yes, the feeling remains the same. Recommendation is a big thing, whether it is first time or second time. So yes, you feel the same way.
ओके, नाउ मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, यहाँ पे जितने भी व्यूअर्स देख रहे हैं उनके भी मन में आ रहा है कि ये बंदा दो दो बार रिकमेंडेशन कैसे मिल रहा है इसको। मतलब रिकमेंडेशन फर्स्ट टाइम मिलना ही बहुत बड़ी बात है। रिकमेंडेशन इटसेल्फ इज अ बिग थिंग एंड यू आर बीइंग डबली रिकमेंडेड फ्रॉम एसएसबी। तो क्या सीक्रेट मंत्र है जिसके लिए आपको ये बार बार रिकमेंडेशन मिलता है? तो प्लीज बताइए।
Ma'am, personally, as such, mantra is a very big thing, and I think if I can do it, anybody can do it. But what I think that stands out in me is that I rely solely on my instinct when I'm standing in the testing room. I solely rely on instinct, which makes my performance a bit natural. So whatever things that I know, whatever things I've studied, stays in my head, and I just stay in the moment and I rely on my instinct and my natural ability, like confidence and my ability to present myself. So this makes my performance a little bit more natural than the other side. So I think that this might be the reason.
So be natural is your mantra, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
आई
ma'am.
थिंक नेचुरल जितना आप रहोगे एसएसबी में जाके, उतना ज्यादा एसएसएस को भी आपके बारे में मालूम होगा, और उससे आई थिंक रिकमेंडेशन का चांस थोड़ा हाई हो जाता है। तो देवांश, अभी मेरा क्वेश्चन है आपका नेक्स्ट कि आपने सीडीएस एग्जाम क्लियर किया, उसके बाद एसएसबी के लिए गए, तो आपने ये जो सीडीएस का प्रिपरेशन किया उसके बाद एसएसबी का भी प्रिपरेशन किया, किस तरह आपने इन दोनों चीजों को मेंटेन किया? हाउ यू प्रिपेयर फॉर द एग्जाम? क्या अगर आप कुछ टिप्स देना चाहते हो हमारे सीडीएस एस्पिरेंट्स के लिए?
So we're talking about written first. When we like when it comes to written, so personally, मेरी strategy काफी orthodox रहती है when it comes to preparing for any written examination. It's like 8 to 10 hours of study, dedicated study, and completion of the entire course. I don't rely on shortcuts and I don't rely on these type of one-shot things. I complete the syllabus throughout. And till my syllabus is not complete, I just don't have the then only then I start giving mocks and everything. So this is my strategy. And 1 month prior to the examination, I started giving mocks. And so, and by when you're giving mocks, you get a general idea that you're going to make it or not. So if you have completed the entire syllabus and you're getting good score in mocks, so you're going to make it definitely. So this time I was getting around some good marks, and every time like, whenever I used to appear for the PYPs, past year papers, I used to get above cutoff marks. So I already had this idea that I'm going to make it this time. So after I cleared my written, first thing was in my mind that my previous recommendation was on October 2021, and this time I will be going in January 2023. So my first thing was in my mind that my previous recommendation is a little bit old, so I have to brush up my things, and I have to brush up everything that I knew at that time. So that's where the SSB crack helped me. I joined the classes, and it cleared all of my basics for the SSB interview. Then I went for the further guidance. Further guidance, I went to the Colonel Mohinder Pal Singh sir. He is a very reputed person. He taught me. He took me under his guidance, and he was a very supportive person in this journey. He supported like SSB crack, and I always give my credit to both of the things, SSB crack and also Colonel MP sir. Both of them were wonderful and very helpful in my journey. So when I prepare, this is how I prepared for my SLP in January. I went for it.
ग्रेट देवांश। तो मैं यहाँ पे कुछ और क्वेश्चन आपको पूछना चाहती कि एसएसबी क्रैक एग्जाम्स के जो क्लासेस आपने ज्वाइन किए वहां पे आपको कौन सा पॉजिटिव चीजें लगी, किस चीजों ने आपको हेल्प किया टू नो मोर अबाउट एसएस, व्हाट टू गेट ऑब्वियसली रिकमेंडेशन बिकॉज यू ऑलरेडी न्यू अबाउट इट, to brush up the things, what points of the classes you imbued in yourself ताकि आप recommendation एक ही shot पे हासिल कर।
As I said, when it comes to studies, I rely on like orthodox method. So whenever there's classroom classes I have to attend, I feel very good. Already have a very good feeling when it comes to attending classroom classes. So that classroom atmosphere and that theoretical explanation of everything, that's what helped me. That's what gives me some of what I can say, that it also gives me a little bit of insights of the tasks and everything. So that's what helped me in it, those detailed analysis and those detailed theoretical analysis of every task and every aspect of the assessment.
ओके राइट। तो अभी मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन एसएसबी के रिलेटेड है देवांश। जब आप एसएसबी गए, आई थिंक यू गॉट रिकमेंडेड फ्रॉम एसएसबी प्रयागराज, राइट?
30 for SSB Prayagraj.
30 फॉर एसएसबी प्रयागराज। तो आप जब पहले दिन गए कितने लोग रिपोर्ट किए थे और कितने लोगों ने जो है स्क्रीन्ड इन उनको मिला?
So, ma'am, when I was there, like 90 people reported, 90 candidates
Okay.
reported, and 26 got screened in.
Okay. So it was like almost 1/3 of it, right?
Yes,
Of
almost
the
one
people
third.
who were screened in. तो स्क्रीनिंग के लिए आपने कैसे प्रिपेयर करके गए थे घर से, और आप जब वहां पे स्क्रीनिंग दे रहे थे लाइक ओआईआर एंड पीपीडीटी, कितना आपका प्रिपरेशन घर का हेल्प किया वहां पे?
Ma'am, regularly 2 to 3 mock OIRs I used to solve in my house, and for PPDT, मतलब general idea था for the PPDT that you don't have to write a negative story. Your narration should be crisp and concise and should be in like 1 minute. And then if you're participating in the GD, try to like take part 2 to 3 times. So these all things which I have studied, I revised it thoroughly, and I went for the interview. I went for the screening. So if I just applied all of these things and I made it in the screening.
ओके ग्रेट। तो ओआईआर में कौन से टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आपको मिला था? बहुत डिफिकल्ट था ओआईआर के क्वेश्चंस, और कौन से टॉपिक से ओआईआर के क्वेश्चंस पूछा गया था?
Personally, ma'am, हमारा जो OIR था, that was a little bit older OIR paper was given to us. So, ma'am, when it comes to OIR, non-verbal was like doable. It was good, easy, I'll say. But verbal was a little difficult. I saw people who were sitting with me who got screened in with me. We all struggled with the OIR, which was non-verbal OIR. So yes, ma'am, OIR verbal was tough, non-verbal was easy. So when I was like age-related problems were a little bit more. The age problems were a little bit more, and what it said. Uh, matrix problems in non-verbal was a little bit like they had a good proportion in the paper. So these all questions were there.
Okay, so it was quite tough, I think, on your term, right? अच्छा, बात
Verbal was
करते
tough.
पीपीडीटी के। तो पीपीडीटी को लेके बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा जो है एकदम से डरे हुए रहते हैं कि क्या होगा पीपीडीटी में, एसएसएस बैठे रहेंगे, स्टोरी लिखना है, नरेशन करना है, जीडी करना है। आपके लिए क्या ये बहुत ही इजी था या फिर आपके लिए भी टफ हुआ था?
Ma'am, as I said, जब आप बैठे होते हो उस टेस्टिंग हॉल में, when you are sitting, and this realization always hits you every couple of minutes that you can get rejected today. So it would be unfair and it would be a lie to say कि मुझे pressure feel नहीं हो रहा. Everybody in that room was feeling the pressure, and everybody in the room was in the heat of the moment. So when it comes to PPDT, ma'am, it is okay to be afraid of it. It is a big thing. And yes, screening is a little bit tough, especially for the repeaters. If you are a freshie, there is a margin of error. Yes, they will like let you go on loose. But if you are a repeater, you should like work really well for your screening. So मेरी PPDT picture में ma'am, there was a picture of two old people, just two old people smiling towards the camera, and this was the picture. And for a couple of minutes, and I'm a repeater, I practiced PPDT, TAT, stories, everything. For a couple of minutes, I went blank. I don't know what was that. It was lack of ideas or it was pressure, but for a couple of minutes, I went blank. But then I like regained my composure and I wrote the story and I wrote it on a boy talking to his father. So I made a story and planning because there were some like mountain-like structures in the behind. So I said that he planned a hill station visit with his family and to spend some time with his father. I wrote a story like this. So this is how my PPDT went. Yeah.
तो आपका जीडी कैसा गया उस पे आते हैं, क्योंकि जीडी को लेके बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा जो परेशान रहते हैं कि पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, पता नहीं अगर मुझे कोई चांस नहीं मिला तो क्या आपको चांस मिल रहा था, बिकॉज यू वर अ रिपीटर ऑलरेडी. तो कैसा था आपका जीडी एंड हाउ डिड यू मैनेज द
Ma'am,
फिश मार्केट सिचुएशन?
during the GD, our groups were divided in 15-15 ratio. Like, so I was in the last 15. Second last 15, my chess number was 70. So I was in the like second last 15. So the last 30 candidates were completely repeaters. 4 to 5, 4, 3 conferences, 2 conferences. So everybody had a fair idea that how the PPDT GD can go sideways. So when I was sitting there, being I just went for the when I just had one conference there earlier. So I was just thinking कि भी NDU की GD की तरह होगी that everybody will be start speaking and then I'll be taking part in it. But when the SSR said go, everybody like went on for it, and there was like then I realized पहली बार मेरे को पता चला that a human body is capable of speaking 50 minutes continuously because some people were able to do that. So when that thing was going on, I was just sitting there and I said, how I'm supposed to take part in it? Because it's just shouting. People are just shouting. Like constant one point constantly repeating it throughout the 15 minutes. So I like took a step back and I analyzed the situation and then I took part in it by like telling a different point that was going on. So when I chose the point to discuss the topic of the story, the what is the theme of the story. So I jumped on it and I said, gentlemen, I think we have already decided that how many characters are there and how what is the gender of the character. Now let's move towards the theme of the story. And gentlemen, I realized that the topic of this came across a lot of times since it was in the story of this candidate. I think we should make a common story on that. And I said, and I shut up for a couple of minutes. They went on for this topic. Some people were like, no, we should first discuss this. You should, but they were जिनकी story मैंने include कर दी, they were in my favor. That yes, we should decide on the theme. So मुझे पता था that in this entire 15, I'm not getting any chance to speak. Let's just wait a couple of minutes. When GTO will divide the group in half, then I'll take my chance. So when the GTO divided the group in two halves, then I speak for like 3 times in the group, excluded from the group. I speak 3 times. The entire group listened it. So yes, how this is how what this was my caller of strategy in my GT.
So basically, you gave a different point so that people's mind get distracted. Then you influence the group positively, which is, I
Yep,
think, is a
exactly.
big difference that it really made in PPDT GD. So that's a really nice strategy, Devansh. That's really nice. तो मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग दी साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट. अगेन मेनी कैंडिडेट्स आर हियर जिनको साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट से डर लगता है कि पता नहीं क्या लिख के आएंगे, साइकोलॉजिस्ट पता नहीं उस चीज को कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे. तो आपने साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट के लिए कैसे प्रिपेयर किया और टैट में अगर आपको याद है कुछ पिक्चर्स जो आपको अभी भी याद होगा, किस तरह की स्टोरी लिखा आपने उसके लिए, वैट में अगर कुछ वर्ड्स आपको याद है, और एसआरटी में अगर कुछ सिचुएशंस आप बोल सकते हैं।
सो मैम, साइक से अगर किसी को डर लगता है देन आई से एम एंड ब्रदर, क्योंकि मुझे भी डर लगता है साइक से। मैं क्योंकि माय कपल ऑफ एस्पेक्ट ना, जिसकी वजह से मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि मुझे भी साइक से बहुत डर लगता है, बिकॉज यू हैव टू राइट अ लॉट एंड आई एम नॉट अ पर्सन हु लाइक्स टू राइट अ लॉट एंड माय हैंड राइटिंग इज नॉट फाइन. So when I'm appearing for a psych test and whenever I'm like, even when I was doing mock psychs, I was really conscious about what I was writing and what I was like, how bad was my handwriting and is it going to put an impact on it. So it took a lot of hard work for me to get good in psych. So otherwise, if your handwriting is good and you know what to do, psych is a pretty easy test. And since it was winter, peak January, so my fingers was swollen because of those frost bites. So it was really hard for me to write it, but that's when SSBcrack and Colonel MP's help came into use. He and SSBcrack, both of these organizations have given me a very deep insights of the psych and how the psychological officer analyzes the paper, and negative stories को कैसे avoid करना है, and how to write a meaningful thing. And definitely the catchphrase of Sanjay sir, he used to say relevant, logical, practical, how to write the relevant, logical, practical stories and everything. So this all was in my mind. And then when the stuff gets going, the going gets tough. When the psychologist starts to like display pictures, I was like, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. Firstly, I have to focus on my performance. This is what my thinking, and I like appeared, and then I didn't left any SRT, then didn't left any tat or didn't left any wet. But since there was a little bit problem in writing, so I like generally attempted SRTs around 42 to 43. So and when it comes to that, I remember any picture. There was a picture in which there was a cannon, and a person was going a little far, standing a little far away from it. I wrote a story about ASI survey on a cannon that was in Rajasthan. And there was another story. There was a boat with mashal. I wrote it on the NDRF TV. So ऐसे करते करते that unnecessary negativity को avoid करते हुए and writing meaningful stories, I like generally negotiated with my uh, psychological test.
तो ये आइडियाज आपको आया कहाँ से कि इस तरह के स्टोरी मुझे लिखना है, कहाँ से? इफ यू कैन यू नो टेल आवर व्यूअर्स कि अगर कोई किताब से या कोई कुछ पॉडकास्ट से या कहीं से आपको ये आइडिया आता है, तो इफ यू कैन टेल देम।
Psychological test is all about exposure. How much of the world you know. A person cannot write a story on the NDRF team if he doesn't know about the NDRF at all. A person cannot write a story on the Archaeological Survey of India if he doesn't know about the ASI. So I would just suggest one thing, that open your eyes and ears and stand in front of the world. You will find plenty of things on which you can write your tat stories. एंड जस्ट लाइक अभी एएसआई तो न्यूज में ही चल रहा था काफी समय से, ज्ञानवापी एक्सकेवेशन एंड मल्टीपल केसेस, तो वहां से मुझे पता था कि एएसआई पे स्टोरी बन सकती है अगर इस टाइप की आती है तो. It's all about exposure. It's all about that how many things you have seen and how much experience you have when it comes to the world. So it is just this.
So mainly current affairs and reading news and being aware of what is happening around you will actually help you out, right,
I
Devansh?
will just say, I will just say the bare minimum. Being aware is enough. Being
Right.
aware is,
Okay.
if you are aware, then if you're watching news and you are aware, you are like, you want to know that what you are watching and you're just not sitting in front of the television, so it will help you. It will definitely help you, and it's the bare minimum that you can do for your psychological test.
एब्सोल्युटली। आप आते हैं फन पार्ट पे, जो कि है हमारा ग्रुप टास्क। और ज्यादातर बच्चे इस चीज को लेकर बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड रहते हैं कि भाग दौड़ होंगे, खेलेंगे हम लोग, इट्स लाइक अ गेम बेसिकली। तो आपका कैसा अप्रोच था जीटीयू की तरफ? हाउ डिड यू प्रैक्टिस फॉर दिस ग्रुप टास्क?
So ma'am, after screening, there were 26 of us. So the groups were divided in 8, 8, 10. So I was in the group which had 10 members last year. My chess number was 21. So this 10, the 10 of us were hardcore repeaters. 2 to 3 conferences, 4 conferences. One more guy was previously recommended, and he was just recommended like within 6 months for the OTA. So he was also there. I was also previously recommended, but I was recommended like a couple of years back. So when it comes to the GTO task, I was really excited for them. I was like, कि ये तो it is a fun part of the SSB after psychological test. बहुत tense हो जाता है. Screening is a very tense situation. Like GTO is a thing which you can enjoy actually. So I was also had the same mindset because I never was present in a repeaters batch. So when I went for the tasks, so firstly we were like exposed towards the indoor tasks, GDs. So GD being, I like to speak and I've taken part in various speeches and debate competitions since my childhood. So I like to speak. So when the GD, we were like guided towards the room, and GT was sitting there. He briefed us about the GD and how it is conducted, and then he said, "Okay, go on." For 20 minutes, nobody was interested in listening, and it was just speaking, and it was everybody was each other's throat. Like when I was trying to speak, that I still remember there was one guy who grated his teeth at me as a gentleman. Let me speak for a couple of minutes more. I said, "Okay, gentlemen, go on." So this was that's when I realized that I'm in a repeaters batch right now. It is not all fun and games anymore. It is a task, and everybody is so much worried about their selection. They'll not probably let you speak, and you can get ran over. That's when I realized that I should like it's all hands on deck. So again, that's what I did. I just took a couple of moments for myself, and then I took part in GD. And I was waiting for them to calm down a little. Just like if a person is constantly shouting, at one point he gets a little bit, his volume gets a little bit down. I was waiting for that moment. Just as that moment came in the group, I jumped into the GD with a new point or a point which was like included with somebody else's point. So this is how taken part in like 4 to 5 times the entire group listened to me. The group which was not interested in listening listened to me 4 to 5 times. This was a big achievement for myself at that time. So this thing was happened both of the GD. When I came out of the GD hall, we were like talking to each other about each other performance. They were like oblivious of how what they did and what was happening there. I was just like I think we should like give each other a little bit chance to speak. So they were like, yes, I'm giving you chance मिल तो रहा है ठीक तो है okay. Then after that we were like
So if you can,
uh,
remember what kind of topics came in your GD.
GD topics में पहला वाला तो था that what stops a country from India is becoming a superpower? What is the biggest hindrance in front of India in becoming a like superpower? Firstly, it was infrastructure. Second, it was internal disturbance, and third, it was population. I chose the population lead, and I
आई
still
थिंक ये
remember.
क्वेश्चन बहुत बार रिपीट होता है ना, कि इंडिया सुपर पावर कैसे बना या हिंड्रेंस क्या है, ये बहुत ज्यादा रिपीट होता है. यस.
So just to give an idea to aspirants who are going for their SSB, this is how you have to speak, and this is how you have to like jump into the GD. There was one guy who said, gentlemen, his point was an internal disturbance. And he said there was late in Sri Lanka that was causing internal disturbance, and that was the reason that Sri Lanka is suffered a lot of like crisis at that time. It hindered its development. I was listening to this point and I was like completely aware. I just kept it in my mind, and then when the group will like let me lose a little bit, then I'll take part. जैसे मुझे मौका मिला HMD, I said, gentlemen, you are right. Internal disturbance was there in Sri Lanka, but it was not because of like it was internal disturbance from the day one. It was because the Sri Lankan government was not able to manage the Sinhalese population that was not able to control the Tamilian population there. It was only focusing on the Sinhalese population. And they said the same thing to at international level, that the reason that Tamilian atrocities are being committed in our country is because that Sinhalese population is a little bit more. We have to focus on our majority. And since our Sinhalese population is a little bit more and it constitutes the majority of our country, we don't have like resources to manage the Tamilian population. So I took his point, I made his point my point, and then so when I mentioned it that I'm going to speak on your point, he was also keen to listen that what this guy wants to listen. So this is how things go on. This is how
बट
I
योर
took part
नॉलेज
in
अबाउट
it.
करंट अफेयर्स इज रियली प्रेज वर्दी, क्योंकि आपने जिस तरह बहुत अच्छे से, लाइक इट नीड्स अ लॉट ऑफ स्टडी एंड नॉलेज फॉर आई थिंक ग्रुप डिस्कशंस। और इसके वजह से कैंडिडेट्स को बहुत ज्यादा डर लगता है कि जीडी में पता नहीं क्या होगा, बिकॉज मेनी ऑफ देम डू नॉट रीड द करंट अफेयर्स द वे यू हैव रेड। सो आई कुड अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दैट। सो देवांश, नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट द आउटडोर टास्क, आपको कौन सा टास्क में लग रहा था कि यू हैव परफॉर्म द बेस्ट, और कौन से टास्क में आप अपना 100% नहीं दे पाए थे?
Ma'am, when it comes to giving my 100%, it is like was a compulsion for me to give 100%. There was no alternative for me to like lay back in any of the obstacles. It was just अगर task है करना है then 100% ही देना है उसमें. But I personally thought that I botched the command task because it was a really difficult one. They say that command task which has modified helping material and movable characters is a little bit tough. And like access helping material, when access helping material there, that's a tough one. मेरे में तो सभी था. एक मूवेबल कैरेक्टर भी था, एक ट्रायंगल दे रखा था, दो रोप्स दे रखी थी, एंड देयर वाज एक्सेस हेल्पिंग मटेरियल वाज देयर, मॉडिफाइड हेल्पिंग मटेरियल, मूवेबल कैरेक्टर वाज देयर. सो देयर वाज वन अप्रोच इन माय कमांड टास्क दैट आई हैड आइडिया कि यहाँ से कैसे जाना है. सो आई स्टार्टेड लाइक doing my task from that side, and when I was doing it from that side, the GTO realized that I'm going to make it from this side. He said, no gentlemen, you have broken this rule, come over to this point and do it from this there. When I went there, I
So he
went
made it
blank for a
harder
couple.
for you actually.
He made it harder for me, and he was like, come here. And when I was doing from like approach he gave to me, when I was doing the task from that side, he was constantly pressurizing me. I still remember that I like turned away a little fast towards my subordinates to take something from their hand. He said that so you are jumping on the obstacle, so you're jumping on the structure like a chimp now. So he said this to me. So he was constantly like putting pressure on me, and he was trying to like get on my nerves. But I was in full control of my mind. I was like whatever toil you are facing right now, it's gonna be worth it. Because मुझे ही पता था that GT only puts pressure on those candidates who think that they're gonna be a little bit, they have the potential in it. So yes, so I
एब्सोल्युटली,
was
यहाँ पे
constantly.
थोड़ा सा मैं आपको रुकूंगी, क्योंकि जो व्यूअर्स है ये मुझे बताना है, क्लास में भी मैं बताती हूँ ये चीज कि अगर आपको ऐसा फील हुआ कि जीटीओ को मेरे साथ कोई पर्सनल दुश्मनी है, जैसे देवांश के साथ भी कर रहे थे जीटीओ, बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर डाल रहे थे उसको, बहुत ज्यादा बहकाने की कोशिश किया जा रहा है, तो देन यू प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू आर वन ऑफ द मोस्ट प्रोबेबल कैंडिडेट। क्योंकि ये हमने देखा है कि प्रोबेबल कैंडिडेट्स पे ही ज्यादातर ये ग्रिलिंग होती है, वो चाहे इंटरव्यूइंग ऑफिसर कर रहे हो या जीटीओ कर रहे हो। देवांश, हियर आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन। आपके ये इंटरव्यू के जितने भी मैंने क्वेश्चंस पूछा, आपने इतने अच्छे से अपने इनसाइट्स दिए। आप एज अ फ्रेशर रिकमेंडेशन हासिल किया है, आपने एज अ रिपीटर रिकमेंडेशन हासिल किया है। ये दोनों रिकमेंडेशन हासिल करने में, या जो भी टास्क आपने ये दोनों एज अ रिपीटर एंड एज अ फ्रेशर किया है, क्या आपको लगता है देयर इज अ डिफरेंस ऑफ डिफिकल्टी बिटवीन द टू रिकमेंडेशन?
Ma'am, I was waiting for this question. It is in my strategy that whenever I go for, I just went for the SSB two times. So whenever I go for the SSB, my first thing in my mind is that I start talking to people at the time of screening. I talk to people, and then you can say it a bit, it is a little bit rude, but I call it the same thing. I call it threat elimination. When I'm talking to people, I eliminate that those are not threats. So I talk to a person, I realize that how he's presenting himself, how he's talking. So I said he's not going to be threat if he gets selected. He's not going to be threat. He's not going to. So this is how I like get a hold on the potential candidates that are. For the when I went for the LDA, there were like handful of candidates that at the first hand I met, and I was like, yes, this guy has potential, and this guy has also. When I went for the CDS SSB, when the 90 people of us when 90 of us reported, I was talking to people like constantly like this guy has potential, he also has potential. Everybody was, there was no person who was like he sure that he's not going to be there and he's not going to make it, because majority of us were repeaters. So tasks are still the same, everything is still the same, the PGT is the same, the command task is going to be the same, and everything GD will be the same. It's like who you are appearing with and who is with you in this task. It makes it a little bit difficult. If the GD did the same topic of the GT was given to us in NDA, I would have performed equally good, and even a little bit more good, because people were there were like freshies and they were like young. When I was here, my performance, which could have been better this time, was not better. It was even a little bit down than the previous one because of the group, because of the people I was with. So it's not like that SSB for the repeaters. It changes something. It is everything the same, but the group which you are with, it really makes a difference.
So the crux of
Difference.
the story is the group does play a role in recommendation, is it?
I won't say that, but group like forces you to put on a little bit extra effort from your side. It is you. You will. There's one saying that it takes you to get recommended. So it is true. If the group is like not a very supportive one, still you're gonna need your performance. But I you have to put like extra efforts there. So that's why if you're the repeater, prepare a little bit extra hard. When you are like standing somewhere, it should be like you should everybody should like exclude you from the group. Yes, this guy is a little bit different. So you have to prepare that way. This is what makes the difference now.
ओके ग्रेट सो दैट वाज अ ग्रेट इनसाइट देवांश हैज गिवन टू अस क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन बहुत बार बहुत कैंडिडेट्स पूछते हैं कि हम रिफ्रेशर्स है हमें पता है ठीक है थोड़ा इजी होगा बट बीइंग रिपीटर्स हमें कैसा अप्रोच देना चाहिए माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू देवांश इज अबाउट द मेडिकल्स बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट हैज मेड अ डिफरेंस दिस टाइम इफ आई रिमेम्बर वेरी वेल लास्ट टाइम आप मेडिकली अनफिट थे और इस टाइम यू आर मेडिकली फिट सो देयर इज अ हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी this time and it is most I would say happier moments than what you faced last time so what is the difference और इस difference को आपने solve कैसे किया to get medically fit this time
When I was appearing for the NDA, everything was fine in my like medical, but there was this one teeny tiny issue. It was low hemoglobin in my blood, and even the doctor in the medicine department in the EMH told me that he just like wrote anemia and just like it is just a like ordinary TR. He just treated it like that. He told me it's his word. He said, "Yeah, khaya piya kar," and he wrote anemia that it is also a TR. I was like, and there was other TR at that time also, which was myopia beyond permissible limits. At that time, left eye was, I don't know that how my left eye came weak because I don't wear specs at all. But at that time, it was -4. Ma'am wrote it that myopia beyond permissible limits and my left eye is weak -4 is the power of my left eye. So I was more tense about that TR than I was about anemia. So when went for the command hospital, went to the command hospital of now, I got declared fit in the eye department. I was really happy and I was thinking, अब तो हो ही जाएगा. It is just anemia. क्या ही TR होगा अब तो खाया पिया सब सही. And when I went for the blood test, the reports came and the reports were that my hemoglobin was 13.9. So I was happy. Very happy. I was like अब तो fit हो गए. And then the doctor looked at my report and said कि इतनी जल्दी hemoglobin बढ़ा कैसे तुम्हारा? And I said सर खाया पिए बोले इतनी जल्दी खाओगे पियोगे तब भी नहीं बढ़ेगा. So I don't know what the cell counter machine. My father is also a doctor. He told me the cell counter machine has a margin of error of zero point 0.5. It can show you plus zero point 0.5 and it can show you zero point 0.5 less. So I just said the same thing to him, and I think he got a little bit angry at me. He sat down and said, "Oh, so you are a doctor? Come on, tell me further more about my own department." I was like, "I'm sorry, sir. I beg your pardon, but it is what my father told me." So he said he wrote to report to further more tests, which was HB electrophoresis and serum ferritin test. He said ये करवा के लाओ. And वो जब करवाया then MCV उसमें लो आया था. MCVs mean corpuscle volume. RBCs का size there was a little bit less in my case. 80 to 90 is good, but mine was 75 or something. So uh, ये report आई then he gave me the TR of microcytic anemia in AMD. Microcytic anemia is like initial initial symptoms of thalassemia, which is genetic anemia. So after that, I applied for the RMB. I was really like disappointed at that time. My RMB came on January 24th, and I was asked to report in the Research and Referral Hospital, Delhi, on by 25th. So in my RMB, everything was fine. My MCV, MCH, entire blood report was fine, and I was rejected on the grounds of serum ferritin. That ferritin in my blood was low, so I was rejected on that grounds. but there was something which was known as course commencement, and the course has already started, and my medical was still going on. So that my medical NCO, which was we were really good friends at that time when I was in the research and development. So he told me that it was more of a that issue, that course commencement issue, rather than a medical issue. So there was like training already started, and since I don't, there was no window for me to get the acclimatization of the academy, I would be exposed to the training right away. That's why I was declared medically unfit at that time. So after that, I worked on it. I like improved my diet. I started taking vitamin B and I started taking vitamin C for the better absorption of iron in my blood. Went for the medicals this time, and I was declared fit.
तो आपको डीमोटिवेशन फील नहीं हुआ था इसके बाद, क्योंकि आपने इतना कुछ किया, रिकमेंडेशन हासिल हो गया, उसके बाद मेडिकल के चक्कर में कोर्स कमेंस हो गया, उसके बाद आई थिंक मोर ऑफ अ कोर्स कमेंसमेंट के लिए आपको इट वाज लाइक अ फेट, लक व्हिच वाज नॉट ऑन योर साइड दैट टाइम। तो क्या इसके लिए आपको ऐसा नहीं लगा कि अरे क्या हो गया? सो वर यू डीमोटिवेटेड? इफ यस, देन हाउ यू अगेन केम इनटू दिस मोटिवेशन कि नहीं फिर से करेंगे, फिर से जाएंगे?
Ma'am, demotivation was inevitable at that. वो तो आना ही था. When I was declared medically unfit in the research in my RMB, when I came out of that medical conference room, I generally it was first thing in my mind was that at this point I don't know what to do next. So I was really sad. I was really means it is beyond words to express that how disheartened I was for exactly 5 minutes. After that, I had a complete idea that I'm going to appear for the CTS examination. After that, yes, that's after being declared medically unfit. I call this period of my life the drag. That's when I was dragging myself. Again waking up, again following the same routine, even after getting selected, even after getting married in. So yes, it generally is a little hard for someone. It is really hard for you to start over. It is not easy to again open those books and start to make those notes again, and start to solve questions, and start to give mocks. So yes, it was hard, and these days also came, and they came to pass. So I was just hoping that
व्हाट
I
केप्ट
knew
यू
one
ऑन?
day.
व्हाट केप्ट यू ऑन कि नहीं करना है, करते जाना है, हाल नहीं छोड़ना? व्हाट केप्ट यू ऑन? व्हाट मोटिवेटेड?
What kept me on was that how I'm gonna feel after getting selected again. Whenever I was low, whenever I was like, I don't cannot carry this on anymore, I would just say that after this much toil, how you gonna feel after getting selected again? So this, what you can say, bait I used to give to myself that you're gonna get selected again and you're gonna feel very great after that. That's what kept me going. That's what keeps me going, and that's what I did to myself.
That's really heart touching. So I want to ask you, Devansh, to give some tips, some motivations to those people out here जिनको बार बार जो ट्राई कर रहे हैं, जिनको रिकमेंडेशन नहीं मिल रहा है, एंड दे आर फीलिंग डीमोटिवेटेड ऑल्सो, समटाइम्स दे फील लाइक दैट कि छोड़ देते अब तो हो गया, क्या फिर से स्टार्ट ओवर करना है? तो क्या अगर आप कुछ भी टिप्स या मोटिवेशन उनको देना चाहते हैं?
Tips that, as such, I won't say that I'm qualified enough to give you tips since I've just appeared for the two SSBs and it was God's grace that both of the times I got selected. But motivation, I can, I've also seen rejection. So yes, I know how it feels. It breaks you down to the core. It makes you reconsider every little decision you made in your life and every little decision you made in your preparation. And you can blame anything you want. You can blame your education system, you can blame your coaching teachers, you can blame your parents, you can blame your everything, you can blame everything. But at the time when the lights are off in your room and you're lying on the bed, there's no one to blame except for yourself. So I know that what it feels, and I know that how traumatizing rejection can be for a person. So all I need to say to a person who is like constantly getting rejection and who is like depressed a little, it is gonna be fruitful one day. And if you give up before that day, you're never gonna see it. It's going to be whatever dream you are seeing, whatever purpose you have in your life, it all has a meaning. It's not meaningless. I never say that you're gonna be successful or I'm gonna be successful. Whenever I like meet with anyone, I say we all gonna make it. It is a very like generic catchphrase of a person who was a gym enthusiast. His name was Dave. He was like a fitness revolution. He was a Russian. He was like a fitness revolution. He all say that we all are gonna make it. So yes, if you just learn to hang in there, if you just learn to keep going, if you just learn to keep the faith, we all are gonna make it. We all are gonna be there. It's all gonna be fruitful. You're gonna see the days that you have dreamed of seeing, and it's all gonna be. It's not. It's never. Your hard work is never futile. So always believe in that your hard work will never be futile, and you're gonna be there one day.
And you have proved it right, Devansh, right? By your hard
Yes.
work and everything, becoming doubly recommended, and this time you're medically fit. So that was a nice conversation with you, Devansh. Thank you for giving us and the viewers the chance to get an insight into what your journey has been to SSB और कैसे आपने recommendation हासिल किया, medically unfit थे पर वहां से आप medically fit भी हो गए with your dedication and perseverance. So thanks a lot, Devansh, for coming to our episode and talking to us, and giving your experiences and also influencing and inspiring the people here. Thanks a lot, Devansh.
Thank
And a
you.
very hearty congratulations once more from SSB Crack Exams for getting
Thank,
recommended this time.
thank you, ma'am. It's an honor, and it was an honor to call myself a student of the SSBCrack and especially a student of you, ma'am. Thank you for your support and
The
thank you for
pleasure is
everything that
all
you've taught me.
ours that we got a
Thank you, ma'am.
student like you.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you, Devansh.
अगर आप एक डिफेंस एस्पिरेंट हैं और एसएसबी इंटरव्यू, एनडीए, सीडीएस, एफकैट जैसे एग्जाम्स के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं तो आप एसएसबी क्रैक एग्जाम्स के कोर्स को चेक करना ना भूलें। आप हमारी लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन को गूगल प्ले स्टोर से भी डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं।